Alright, so in today's video, we need to talk about what might end up being the top team of the entire Nod Krai patch cycle. And it's a wild one. I'm talking about the lineup that's got the community half screaming, half coping, and 100% panicking over their primogene balances. Durin, Colombina, the White Horse Adeptus, and Varka. Yeah, four of the most hyped and lore-heavy characters Hoiverse has ever lined up back-to-back. Some players are calling this the premium team, others call it financial annihilation. But everyone agrees on one thing. It's shaping up to be an absolute monster composition if the current leaks hold true. Before diving in, keep in mind that everything here is still unconfirmed. These are based on data mines and early leak cycles from sources like hakush.in and Top Up Live, and things can always change before release. But since Durin's full kit is now circulating across multiple reputable channels, we finally have enough information to piece together how this dream team might actually work and why some fans are already calling it the top Nod Krai patch comp, not just by strength but by design. Let's start with the centerpiece, Durin. You know, the dragon that once fought Dalen, now reborn in human form as a 5-star pyro sword user. According to the leaks, his kit revolves around this dual form mechanic called Affirmation of Whitening and Negation of Darkness. When you use his elemental skill, Binary Formula Fusion Refinement, he can choose between these two states, and each one changes his burst entirely. In his whitening state, Durin becomes this pyro-themed buffer, summoning a white flame dragon that hovers around dealing residual pyro damage and granting the team bonuses like increased elemental damage and possibly even resistance penetration. In his darkness state, he goes full offense, death-ignoring hits, heavy single-target multipliers, and an AoE burst. So, right away you can tell that Durin isn't a simple on-field DPS like Dalek or Hutuo. He's a hybrid, someone who can either lead the damage rotation himself or switch to a supportive stance and make everyone else stronger. It's almost like Hoyo wanted to create a Pyro Fina, but with a dragon aesthetic and more flexible playstyle. That duality alone already makes him the perfect anchor for a multi-element reaction team. Now, enter Colombina, the mysterious Fatal Harbinger, whose leaks point toward her being a Hydro character, possibly a Polearm or Catalyst user. Her entire concept seems to revolve around music and moonlight, things like Song of the Hollow Moon and Lunar Will mechanics. If those lunar clauses in her kit turn out to be real, she could amplify certain reactions depending on the team's element combinations. And that's where the synergy with Durin becomes really spicy. His off-field pyro application plus her continuous hydro damage pulses mean you get constant vaporize reactions. Think of it as the Fontaine-era reaction meta, but pushed even further by Durin's buffing states. Together, they create what some players are already calling the Lunar Core, a pyro-hydro duo that dominates reaction uptime. The third piece of the puzzle is the newly revealed White Horse Adeptus plan for version 6.3. She's described in the leaks as an Onimo support, possibly tied to the moon, and timed just like Istaroth. That alone already made lore fans lose their minds. She's not just another random Adeptus, as some early Reddit comments complained. She's literally the daughter of Time mentioned in multiple EU books and even teased in Yamp's latest anecdote. Mechanically, she seems to be a grouping and buffing support like Kazuha or Fuzwan, but possibly with a twist. People suspect she might introduce something called Lunar Swirl, extending reaction durations, or enhancing elemental damage when multiple lunar-affiliated characters are present. And that would tie directly into Colombina's Moonlight theme and Durin's dual state system. Just imagine that rotation. You start by using the White Horse Adeptus to group enemies and apply her Anemo Swirl, lowering enemy elemental resistance and setting up the field. Then you switch to Colombina, drop her off-field Hydro Song, and tag enemies with constant Hydro application. Next comes Durin. You pop his Affirmation of Whitening to enter his supportive state, trigger Vaporize reactions, and summon his White Flame Dragon. And finally, you bring in Varka, the long-awaited Grandmaster of the Knights of Favonius, who leaks now suggest will indeed be a Nemo as well. That's right, another Onimo powerhouse. But instead of a pure swirl DPS, he's expected to be a heavy Claymore user that mixes physical and Anemo damage, possibly even lunar swirl scaling if the data mines are correct. So, is it fair to say this will be the top team of the Nod Krai patch era? Honestly, yeah, it's looking that way. Not necessarily confirmed, but it's the most synergistic and forward-designed lineup we've seen. These characters are clearly built around the same reaction philosophy. Heavy elemental damage multipliers, resistance penetration buffs, and overlapping lunar-style reaction systems. If their final numbers hold, this team could easily rival the best Fontaine comps. But even with all that hype, I think it's important to keep some perspective. We've seen similar premium metacycles before. Remember when Fina, Nouvelle, and Rizal were leaked and everyone thought they'd break the game? They did for a while, but power creep always catches up. So, if you're F2P or a low spender, maybe pick your favorites and wait for reruns because chasing every member of this squad will hurt. Still, I have to admit, from a design standpoint, this is genius. Each unit represents a piece of a new elemental puzzle. Duran's Pyro Reaction Engine, Colombina's Hydro Melodies, the Adeptus Time Wind Mechanics, and Varka's Animo Strength. If Hoyo really wanted to define the Nod Krai era with one ultimate team, this would be it. It's almost like they're doing another Archon-level synergy cycle, but this time it's all tied to Lunar and Adeptus themes instead of Divine ones. Anyway, that's my take on what might become the top team of the Nod Krai patch era. Whether it actually ends up dominating or just becomes a collector's dream squad will depend on final tuning, but you can't deny how perfectly this team connects in both gameplay and lore. So, what do you guys think? Are you saving for all four, or are you already crying in your primo gems? Do you think the Adeptus will actually introduce Lunar Swirl, or will she just be another Animo buffer like Kazuha 2.0? Let me know what you think in the comments because this discussion is only going to heat up as we get closer to 6.3. And as always, if you enjoy breakdowns like this where we mix leaks, lore, and meta insight, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more updates as the Nod Krai cycle unfolds. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates as we get closer to the patch. Whether you're a lore nerd, meta chaser, or just here for the drip marketing, this team is one to watch. And if you're still deciding who to pull, I'll be breaking down each kit in detail once the beta hits.